Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Terrible. Just flat out terrible. What a bad performance. And I tried telling everybody that the defense is so garbage and there's no way in hell that you can continue to win when your defense is that embarrassing. And that's exactly what you saw. You saw a competent team, not an elite team, not even a great team, but not a dumpster fire team either. You saw a competent team without their best player and without arguably the best player in hockey, and they were able to shred you to pieces. This is what is supposed to happen when you have a D-corps that doesn't know what they're doing, and they run around with their heads cut off in the D zone, and they give away turnovers left and right. Shayne Gostisbehere was so bad tonight. Just giving Kapanen the puck. Kapanen, do you want it? You can have it, dude. Not even just the breakaway goal that occurred right after the Flyers scored. Joel Farabee just scored a beauty. Shayne Couturier allows it to happen because of his great work in the neutral zone. They pursue into the offensive zone. Puck movement from right side to the slot, back to the right side to Joel Farabee. JVR is driving the net. I mean, it's just fantastic execution. And this happens in the second period, right? In the first period, the Flyers played fine hockey. They outshot the Penguins. Well, they originally said 12-5, but I think they added a shot during the intermission. Regardless, they had a lot of good opportunities. They had 2 power plays because Aston Reese hit Phil Myers from behind. Shayne Couturier ended up getting high stick, so they had the power play chances. The Penguins had a couple. It was Malkin's drop pass that ended up getting deflected on its way to Carter Hart, but Carter Hart made the save. And then there was the, what was their other opportunity they had in the first? Oh, it was Lafferty. Carter Hart with an amazing save on Lafferty. Other than that, though, I thought the Flyers controlled play. So this is why I'm irritated. The first period in favor of the Flyers, even though when you go up against a team that is that garbage in the penalty kill department, the Penguins are not good. Look at where they fall in the league. The bottom of it. I'll give you the answer. The bottom of the league in the penalty kill. And you had how many chances? And I'm talking so early in the game. Here's a chance for you to say, fuck you, and score right in the beginning of the game. You're going up against your rival. You're in their building. Oh, by the way, there's fans in the stands. So there should be some sort of juice. There should be some sort of excitement. They don't have Sidney Crosby. Destroy them. Dominate them. But no, they can't score. I'll give them credit. The first 2 power plays, at least there was puck movement. You were moving the puck side to side. You were moving Jari left or right. You were getting shots from the point. You were getting in front of the net. You were trying to get some tips. Like, at least there was some sort of generation going on with the power play. But as the game moved forward, it got worse and worse and worse. And to the point where not only me, but you got NBC Sports Philadelphia tweeting out, please, no more power plays. In what universe do you watch a hockey game and watch your hockey team and support them every single damn night and you don't want a man advantage? It just explains everything about where they are when they have that extra guy. And it's nuts. It really is. So you go from that, you go from taking the lead, which that line is electric right now. Farabee, big picture, stud. This kid is so damn good. I love watching him play. I enjoy everything he does out there. He's fantastic. He's going to be at the top of this league as he continues to grow. Him, Cootie, like I thought Cootie had a good game. That line is rolling. You got to keep them together. And look, I didn't think Carter Hart had a bad game. It was all about the product in front of him. Unfortunately, the stat sheet won't pop afterwards, but by no means am I putting blame on Carter Hart. When you have Shayne Gostisbehere giving Kapanen the puck a minute and change after you score, that's a problem. And then when it's 3-2, and we'll get into the other goals, you score, right? You score to make it 3-2. Joel Farabee, good goal. What ends up happening? You allow a goal, bad pitch, a minute after. That's a joke. To even allow the third goal to make it 3-1. Provorov and Ghost, what are they watching? There's 2 guys behind them an inch away from Carter Hart. Shayne Gostisbehere, -3. He stunk Awful game out of Shayne Gostisbehere. Now, he's been giving you good production. Then he gives you this. Which one is he? Or is he somewhere in between? But the problem is you can't accept these type of games. And a player like Ghost, and I'm not trying to say that Provorov isn't at fault here, because he is. I'll say it again. Provorov is at fault here. But playing with Ghost, when there's performances like tonight, it weighs Provorov down. Provorov was -4. Shayne Gostisbehere was -3. You had the wonky empty net goal where Carter Hart's going to the bench and it gets sent down all the way down the ice. It was a joke, man. They looked so uncoordinated. They looked so out of whack. They weren't mentally prepared. How are you not mentally prepared to play your rival? Was it the Sidney Crosby news that threw everyone and made them all clustered and maybe flustered? Maybe flustered's the better word here. Where they didn't really know how to operate. All right, the Penguins aren't doing the morning skate and Crosby's out. There was another coach. There was a coach involved as well that was put on the safety protocol list. Did that throw them out of rhythm that much? Well, guess what? It's not an excuse. All right, so I don't accept that. To me, there's no way that that's okay. Oh, well, hold on. There were some COVID issues to the other team. No, that's an uncontrollable. Get in there, play harder. They were getting outworked on their last power play. Outworked! You're telling me there's no sense of urgency to get into the damn corners and beat the Penguins to lose pucks when you're down? How many times when the Buffalo Sabres were down in that third period, they just played them twice, right? And they beat them both times 3-0. But both third periods were what? It was the Flyers on their heels. And the Sabres had some momentum because they were fighting for their lives. They knew they were down. They knew they had to crawl back into it. Did you see that same effort level out of the Flyers? Because I sure didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't see the Penguins really on their heels. No, I didn't. So why is that the case? As you can tell, I am very bothered. I really am. Kapanen gets a power play goal to make it 2-1 after the Penguins tied it up. So now we're taking penalties. Like, it's all one big snowball effect, right? You take the lead 1-0. Well, you give up the lead a minute later because Ghost decides to say, hey, go ahead. Have it. We don't want the lead. We'd rather be tied. Now you're going in the box. The Flyers are taking penalties. Now you're allowing them to score on the power play. I mean, really? You got to believe in yourself when that happens. You got to calm down. You got to weather the storm. You got to draw everybody back in and say, all right, fellas, not smooth, not the greatest. Let's calm down. Let's get it back together. Let's find ourselves once again. But it went off the tracks, and it really went off the tracks. And this Penguins team is not good. Don't be fooled. I said it best right off the jump. They're a competent team. They're not a great team. They're not an elite team. They're not a bad team. They are a competent team. If you look that dysfunctional, playing a regular season game, like, come on, that dysfunctional against a team that's just they're just And what have I been saying to everyone over the last 3 hockey games? There's no way you go from what you were to what they were before the last 3 games to how they played over the last 3 games automatically. There's a reason. Well, what's the reason? The team you were playing against. The Sabres suck. The Rangers blow. So when you go from a team that can't generate a lot of offense to a team that looks like Wayne Gretzky's Oilers teams, and when you go from a team that looks structured in the D zone to one of the worst D zones I've ever seen in my entire life at any level of hockey, I can't say, well, the Flyers are figuring this thing out. That's why I was skeptical. Now, here's the positive, and it's very reasonable to look at this as a negative because of how ugly tonight was. And it can continue to snowball into even uglier, believe it or not, because this can happen again on Thursday. This could happen again on Saturday. But they have an opportunity to shut me up. They do. And I hope they do. I hope they go and spit a loogie in my mouth. That's what I hope. I hope the Flyers go out there on Thursday and obliterate this Penguins team. Come out firing. I hope Alain Vigneault rips their assholes into pieces. And then they answer the bell. And they shut me up and said, Brodes, it was a hiccup. It wasn't a reality, it was a hiccup. I'm just not convinced, though, that that is the case. Why? Because how long? I'll give you the answer. I'm not even going to ask the question. I will give you the answer. Since the beginning of the year, we have screamed and demanded to get better play out of your own zone. And if you don't clean that up, you will not have sustained success. You will not be able to beat up on opponents. Once you start getting past the bad teams and you start playing the average to good to great to better teams, you're going to get steamrolled. And they really did. They really, really did. And I can't believe I saw this tweet. And it blows my mind. And this is coming from someone who works at, I'm not going to say like an insane establishment, but there's a little bit of hockey background with where they work. Because Mark Friedman ended up getting an assist. Whoop-de-damn-do. And I actually saw someone throw out there, this Flyers organization is a joke. How do you keep Robert Haig but let Mark Friedman go? Excuse me? Mark Friedman's ass. Mark Friedman is what, a 7th, 8th defenseman? So is Robert Haig. But really, your takeaway from that game is, how dare you keep Robert Haig over Mark Friedman? They're both in the same category. Who cares? Like, Robert Haig and Mark Friedman? I understand being frustrated with the decor, and I can't stand them either. Gustafsson, Braun, Haig, Ghost. Like, I'm not a big fan of these guys, but let's not act as if Mark Friedman all of a sudden is Erik Karlsson in his prime because the guy ends up throwing a nice pass around to get an assist. Mark Friedman is a nobody in this league. As if they kept Mark Friedman, if they did that, that would be the difference in this team turning the page in that area. Oh, they're cleaning up their 6th defenseman. Really? I mean, seriously. That was one of the worst takes I've seen. And I'm not big on calling others out in this industry on Twitter. I don't want to get involved with the beef. You have your opinion, I have my opinion, and I go on with my day. I don't care what others say. I don't care what others think about what I say. That's the beauty of this damn industry. It's opinionated sports talk. So I can say whatever the hell I want, and it might piss you off. You might agree with it, but I don't care. Quite frankly, I do not care. So I never have that urge or, that feeling in my body where I need to go reach out and be like, really, dude? That's what you think? But I actually hit the reply button, started typing, and then I came back to my senses. Like, all right, relax. It's not that big of a deal. No reason to get into some beef with some, guy that you don't know. I'm not going to say nobody, but some guy you don't know. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, though, in that tweet and on the ice. Your rival who is not... see, now, does that statement make sense? I was going to say your rival that is not as good as you. And now, I'm going back and forth in my head. Is that the right statement to make? Are the Penguins not as good as you? Are you significantly better than the Penguins? Are you a little bit better than the Penguins? I think their Flyers are trending in the right direction. The Penguins won Stanley Cups, and now they're clearly in this weird stage in their franchise, right? The Flyers are trajectorying up. They're going in the forward direction. They're going in the right way on the timeline. No one's denying that. But where are they? If the Penguins were at a 10 and now they're going down to a 7, let's say, and the Flyers were at a 4 and they're going up to a 7, let's say, are they somewhat in the same category right now, but you just feel differently because of the paths that they are now taking? You can't do a damn thing with this defense. So while you look at the top 6 and you might think that, hey, they're this intriguing top 6 and they got this intriguing core, you can't win a damn thing with this defense. You really can't. Ghost was putrid. For how great he was over the last 2-3 games or so, where he scored in back-to-back nights, and he was playing on the power play, and he looked like Ghost of last year. Or, excuse me. He looked like Ghost of his rookie year. I even tweeted that out after one of his bingos when he jumped up in the rush, went 5-hole. I said, wow! Ghost is playing like a rookie out there. fired up because his rookie year was great. For as phenomenal as he's played over the last handful, this was a huge step back. An insane step back in the wrong direction. And look, I wonder how he's going to bounce back. Like, I'm not going to say I'm excited to see, but, I want to see. I want to see how Shayne Gostisbehere responds. Will it be another bad one? Because I wonder, as much as he has been physically in a bad spot, I also think he's been in a bad mental spot as well with the game. Confidence is key. And if you don't have that swag out there, you're doomed. You're going to make poor decisions. What's going to happen is the game's going to happen so fast. You're going to overthink. You're going to hold your stick too tight. You're going to turn the puck over. You're going to make wrong decisions. That's what happens when you're all loopy upstairs trying to do too much out there. And maybe, just maybe, after a performance like this at a Ghost, there's a little funk. Now it's, I better not have a bad game tomorrow. I think mentally he's in a weaker spot right now. And once again, there's an opportunity for him to say, Brodes, you're wrong. And that's fine. I prefer him to do that. I want him to do that. He's got an opportunity on Thursday, unless he's scratched. Being that much of a dash is pretty bad. Although, is one game going to be enough? Because what's the alternative? It's not as if there's 7,000 opportunities, guys waiting for opportunities on the bench, just ready to get caught up. It doesn't work that way. I do want to let you know before we continue about my friends over at DraftKings. UFC 259 is this weekend and is sure to be an action-packed with 3 title fights taking place in one night. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC, is putting you in the center of this weekend's title fight with 100-1 odds on either fighter to land a punch during the title fight. Pick either main event fighter to land a punch during this weekend's UFC 259 bout. And DraftKings Sportsbook will give you 100-1 odds. Just bet $1 on either fighter to land a punch, and if that happens, you will cash $100. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code BRODES when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 if either main event fighter lands a punch on Saturday. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code BRODES to turn $1 into $100 if either fighter lands a punch. For a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I guess where I'm at here is when I question over the last 20 games, how do they keep winning? In what universe does this team tack on wins after wins after wins? It doesn't make much sense because their product is not winning hockey. I felt this is what should happen when they play. They've played very similarly to this in other games, but they come out victorious. Their D zone has been worse than this in other games, believe it or not, but they come out victorious. Doesn't add up, right? This is reality more times than not when you perform this way. Allow 2 guys behind you, give the puck over, pizza deliveries up the middle. Hey, Papa John's! Papa John's! Just pizza deliveries left and right. It was a disgrace. It really was. And I want to know what you had to say about this game. So let's throw it on over to the Anytime Hotline.
Cannot be surprised that this weekend like this was not a good game from the Flyers. Carter Hart played well. Joel Farabee played well. Other than that, not really much to talk about on the Flyers end. Gino Malkin stepped up, and, watching that game, you wouldn't have thought that Sidney Crosby was even missing. You would have thought that the Flyers were maybe missing their star player, but he stepped up and he played so well and, puts them in the lead and really plays in place of Crosby. And it was so bad that they don't even play him towards the end on the penalty kill. They just know that they don't need him. It's brutal. 2 more chances to step up and beat Pittsburgh.
This team has done a good job at bouncing back under AV. So there's a positive for you. If you want to be optimistic, if you want to look for a sign of, hey, maybe we should feel good about this team heading into game 2, this team does do a decent job normally of bouncing back after an ugly one. Where you go back to Carter Hart, where you make a statement by going to Brian Elliott, what statement would that be? Or is it not a statement at all? Is it just, hey, Carter, look, not your fault, kid? Because I don't really think it was. And if you watched the game, you saw that Carter Hart was left out to dry so many times. Look, they score on the power play. They score when both defensemen aren't paying attention and there's two guys behind them. They score on a breakaway. They score on an empty net goal where Alain Vigneault was trying to call him off to put out an extra attacker. So the stat sheet's not going to be kind to Carter Hart, but it really wasn't his fault by any means. And with this power play, when down 3-1, they had a power play opportunity in the second period. Voracek, you brought up Malkin. Pretty positive it was Malkin that tripped him. Right at the end of the second, bled into the third, nothing. And then in the third period, another power play, nothing. The Penguins are almost putting it out on a platter. Then, when you're down, then they're doing it, and they did it to start the game. You know what a good hockey team does? They obliterate you when that happens. Right? Here's an example. Let's say the Boston Bruins. More like a hypothetical, but an example, I'm sure this has happened. But let's go hypothetical. You give the Boston Bruins 2 power plays to start the game. You think they score? Seriously, though. You think they score? You give Edmonton, Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. You give them a power play. 2 power plays, start the game. Think they score? You give Calgary. And Calgary's a mess. I don't know if you pay attention to the league, in warm-ups the other night, and they lost to the Senators, so it was only telling that this was going to happen. But you had guys falling into each other. You had guys falling into the corner. You had guys throwing backhand passes that hit Sean Monahan in the face on the side of the head. No helmet, no bucket in warm-ups. Like, it was a disaster what happened. Guess what? You give them 2 power play opportunities to start the game. Guess what happens? They score. And if you're down 3-1, and here you are in the second period, in the third period, and you get a man advantage, those teams will score. Maybe not every time. Maybe not every single power play. Look, top of the league is what? 30-ish or so? Right underneath 30-ish? So I'm not begging for this team to give you every single goal every time you're 5-on-4. Or 5-on-3 for that matter, because I've seen 5-on-3s not benefit the Flyers too. So it's also a 2-man advantage that has been ugly for this team. But I'm asking for way more than this, because this is a mess. And it's unacceptable. What do you got to do? Are you going to keep changing things over and over and over again? Are you going to try new looks? I wasn't disgusted with the early ones. I like the puck movement. But how does it get back to your old self? You would think the more you get in a game, especially when you started out moving the puck okay, that maybe you would get better. You're going far pad, wide open net, resetting, Travis Konechny shots, getting point shots. I mean, it was somewhat decent, but it's more about just like not executing. As much as it's not, like, should I be sitting here saying, hey, at least you move the puck? That's where we're at. I'm okay with their puck movement. Hey, good job moving the puck. It's a joke.
I'd like to discuss several things regarding this Flyers loss to the Penguins tonight. First of all, it's incredible that this team has the record they have, considering how awful their special teams are. You probably shouldn't be getting shut down and owned by one of the worst defenses in the league and one of the worst goalies in the league, Tristan Jarry. But I'm not one to talk, considering that Carter Hart had another dud out there tonight. Save percentage of 82%, and you know you had a rough night when you allowed Cody freaking Ceci to score on you. I say start Moose for next game because he'll give you a better chance to win, and see if Carter can come back in Game 3. Lastly, I would love to see Drew score a goal because all my friends in my group chat keep on telling me that we need to trade him for a defenseman or strip him of the sea. Mainly, they want him to get traded for a defenseman.
Your friends are idiots. I want you to play that to them. I want you to listen to the show. I want you to play that clip. I want you to tell them that they're idiots, and I want you to tweet at me, at Brodes81. I need to get into this discussion with your moronic friends that think stripping Claude Giroux of his captaincy right now is the biggest issue. I mean, really? Strip the sea. First off, do you know how hockey works? Go look at the contract. Go look at the situation. There's a no-trade clause. You're not moving Claude Giroux for a defenseman. All right, that's not how it works. And let's throw this around to your friends because they think he sucks, right? Which is such a dumb statement. But your friends think that Claude Giroux sucks. Okay, well, if he sucks so bad and he's going to get stripped of the sea, that's how awful of a player he is. What franchise is going to pick up the phone and say, "Oh, you want a top defenseman? Yeah, I'll give you that for Claude Giroux." Oh yeah, you know what? I'll give you a top defenseman for Claude Giroux. If you think, I'm not saying you, I'm saying your buddies, think that he sucks that bad, tell me how that happens. I would love for it to go down the way that you see it, really. And of course, I'm being sarcastic because idiots. That's your friend group. I will push back on you a little bit, too, with the Carter Hart thing. The stat sheet doesn't tell the story. So you throw save percentage in there. Okay, so it's his fault that Kasperi Kapanen had that breakaway when Shayne Gostisbehere put it on a plate for him on a breakaway. Come on. It's a breakaway in the middle of a game. He got scored on. It was a nice move. Opened up the 5-hole. Nice move. All right? I'm not going to blame Carter Hart there. Power play goal. Not going to blame Carter Hart there. What else was there? Provorov and Shayne Gostisbehere not even picking up sticks or boxing anybody out. Am I going to blame him for that? Absolutely not. The fourth goal? And then the empty netter? I don't know. I think being that brutal on Carter Hart is a little too strong, in my opinion. I don't think that I fully agree with the Carter Hart assessment from you, but I don't like your friends. I will tell you that for free. Not a fan of your friends.
Well, you know it's not going to be your night when goals are scored by the greatness that is Cody Ceci and Mike Matheson. That's number one. This was a hard one to endure for a number of reasons. First off, the 3-period ball licking of the Pittsburgh Penguins by Pierre Maguire. Oh my God. If I have to hear one more time about how structured they were tonight, I mean, somebody shoot a puck his way and peg him right between the eyes.
That's amazing. Now, I'll be honest with you. I didn't go NBC Sports Network. I didn't go NBCSN. I went Jim Jackson. I went Keith Jones. I went the traditional route. So I had no clue what Pierre Maguire said, and I'm okay with it. So that is hilarious. Did not hear the ball licking, but I wish I did because it probably would have been funnier. But maybe it's a blessing that I did it. That is hilarious, by the way. All right, you can continue now.
But this game, to me, besides the other bad habits that we've seen, the one constant is the anemic power play. It is amazing to me that with the supposed firepower that the Flyers have, they are such a non-threat on the power play. They run the same plays. They constantly have guys jumbled up together. They look disorganized. And 2 times in the third period, Sean Couturier has one-on-one looks at the goalie and passes each time. They went away from the things that were working the last couple games of just shooting the puck, and they try to get pretty and fancy, and there's the end result.
I agree with you. I do think they try too much sometimes on that power play, but there is too much firepower. Like, individually, if you look at it, Claude Giroux, Joel Farabee, JVR, Sean Couturier, Jake Voracek, right? Like, these guys are good players. They're good players in this league. And 5-on-4, especially against a team that is so bad on the PK. If the Penguins were 1 in the league, look, I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm not going to be thrilled, but at least it makes sense. This doesn't make sense, right? This doesn't make sense. There is too much individual talent on this team when you have a 5-on-4 for it to not go in the net this much. It's disgusting. It really is. And look, it's been a problem for years. So if it's a problem for years, now I got to start diving deeper. Because some might want to blame the players here. And while the players are number 1 on my list 99.9% of the time when it comes to sports, I blame player over coach 99.9% of the times. Football is a different story because a football head coach has way more invested into a game plan and into a game perspective than the NHL, the NBA, and of course a manager in baseball. So NFL, different story, different conversation for them. But when a power play with this type of talent is just dreadful year after year after year, and look, changes have been made before. I don't know, though. I mean, I really don't know. I don't have the answers. I wish I had the answers, but it's not adding up. That's my problem here. It's not adding up. I can't stand it.
Hey, Brodes. Flyers lose 5-2. It was really uninspired hockey, but yeah, that's gonna happen. But anyway, there's something I wanted to discuss with you. Nolan Patrick is awesome on the third line. I don't know why AV wanted to put him up on the second line now that TK is back. Look for him to change that. Also, change that back to the third line for Nolan. Also, my friend Megan, her uncle commissioned the artist who drew Gritty. So that's a cool thing to hear.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. That's interesting, right? Like, you never think about those type of things that happen behind the scenes. I'll never forget the day that he was announced and that gif of him coming around with the crazy head. I thought, what in the world is this? And who would have known that we'd have one of the funniest and iconic mascots there are? Is iconic the right word to use to really describe what Gritty is? But that is pretty cool. I do want to touch on what you said about Nolan Patrick, though. Nolan Patrick has been underwhelming. I think that's the reality of the situation. And maybe there was a game where he played on that right wing, and he didn't really pop on the stat sheet, but he did have some recognizable moments out there that could make you feel like, hey, maybe there's something in Nolan Patrick. And there's plays here and there where it's like, oh, there's that skill set that I look at and say, hold on a second, there is something there. Why can't we tap into that more? I think the reason why you saw him out there in the line that he did is because Travis Konechny easing into things. I do. I think that's what it is. A little bit of trying to get Nolan Patrick going and a little bit of Travis Konechny getting back into the groove, getting out there, skating, getting the legs under them. A little bit of that and a little bit of Nolan Patrick just, hey, maybe getting him playing with different guys will spark that potential that I'm talking about. We'll tap into that potential, but clearly it needs more than that. Like you got to dive deeper, dude. You got to dig within because what Nolan Patrick has provided, Nope. No. You want to hear something that makes me say yes? Orbit Energy and Power. Everything they can provide for me. Yep. Yes. Absolutely. Come on over. They're the best. I'm a new homeowner, and they have provided so much for my home. It's outrageous. And specifically, solar. With over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, they are home to your solar experts in residential and commercial for your businesses as well. They are dedicated to making sure that your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. Their solar program eliminates your electric bill completely by offering flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. They also provide water purification, clean, healthy water for your family, backup energy services, battery storage, tree removals, electrical upgrades, you name it, plenty more. Information down below in the description. It is a no-brainer. So thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast where we talk about a horrendous hockey team, a horrendous hockey game as well. So just terrible. What are you going to do? Hopefully they respond on Thursday. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you next time.